Welcome, everyone, and thanks so much for attending the ROI from Identity Orchestration and Automation. I'm Evan Schuman, and I'll be moderating today's events. And today we happen to be in Las Vegas, here at the Gartner IM Summit. So, enterprise CISOs have enthusiastically embraced moving to modern authentication, especially as many prepare for a zero trust environment. But the promised ROI of modern authentication, that can be elusive, especially if the effort is not ideal. How does the enterprise realize more, if not all, of these benefits? To figure that out, we have assembled an esteemed panel of identity experts. First up, we have Ashish Chandra, Global Practice Head of Digital Identity, Cybersecurity, and Risk Services at Wipro. Ashish, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Ivan. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining in, and I hope that you will find this session insightful and help in your IAM transformation journey. I am Ashish Chandra. I head the Identity and Access Management practice globally for Wipro CRS, which is Cybersecurity and Risk Services practice. I am based out of Dallas, Texas. I bring overall 25 years of industry experience, out of which 20 plus is doing all sorts of identity, right? Like from end to end, from an identity perspective. I should say I had an opportunity to work with many large Fortune 500 customers globally. And I have seen identity change over years, right? Like I mean the identity solution change over years, right? And one of the things that we see is organizations, start on their IAM journey, but they are not able to reap the benefits of the next gen identity solution that they have, primarily chosen and started the journey on. So today's webinar is largely focused on how Wipro can help you in your transformation journey and make it more effective and easy for you. And just to give you another perspective, as I said, I've bring 25 years of experience. Before joining Wipro, I've worked with IBM Security and Tata Consultancy Services. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Ivan to go ahead with the introductions.
Now, thanks so much, Ashish. And I just want to point out that Ashish today is joined by his colleague, Bikramjit Ghosh. Bikram is the Senior Practice Manager focusing on the Identity and Access Management Center of Excellence and IP platforms. So Bikram, thank you as well for joining us today.
Thank you for having me in the call. My name is Bikramjit Ghosh. I lead the Identity and Access Management COA Charter. Overall, I have an experience of 17 plus years in cybersecurity, especially in the IAM domain. In my current role, I work with a team of highly skilled cybersecurity professionals, and we ensure that we are making unique cybersecurity solutions and IP platforms for our customers.
Excellent. So Ashish, before we jump into the details on how one is going to try to achieve identity ROI, the tactics involved, can you give us a quick overview of Wipro cybersecurity today?
Thank you, Ivan. Let me quickly give you a quick view of the cybersecurity and risk services practice. We are largely focused around four practices, security advisory, digital identity, cloud security, and application and data security. And we provide services from an end-to-end perspective across all these services, covering advisory, consulting, implementation, and managed services. And I would like to highlight that the managed services is something that we provide in as a service model with a standard SLAs and per user per month basis. And this is a shared service solution that we offer from our 17 cyber defense centers globally. I would also like to highlight the platforms that enables us to offer differentiated services to our customers. There are four platforms highlighted here, and today you will hear more about the Identity Management Center, which helps organizations in their identity transformation journey. And so that's primarily the focus of the conversation today. So let me give a quick overview of the digital identity practice. We at Wipro have been doing identity for last 25 years, and we have seen the digital identity solutions change over years. And largely in last 4 to 5 years, we have seen the changes happening from the cloud adoption and the digital transformation. And we have seen that, because of these two major factors, the identity has become the new perimeter from a security perspective. And the next gen IAM solutions, enable the digital trust that is required when organizations go on their digital journey. Now, from an overall perspective, as you can see on the slide, we look at identity from two broad perspectives. One is the consumer IAM, and the other is the workforce IAM. These are two broad personas, and you can see the different blocks here, which represent different solutions under these two broad IAM categories. And we offer identity solutions across each of them with different partners, across the industry. And as I said, we do consulting, advisory, design, and managed services across each of these solutions.
Thanks very much. Those are some interesting points. Let's just drill down for a second. One of the areas where your team is focusing on is blockchain IAM. Now, blockchain is certainly powerful and it's appropriate for that, but it's also something where, let's just say that a lot of senior executives, especially CISOs, are not necessarily entirely comfortable. Is this, even though it's a few years down the road, what are you seeing as the key blockchain benefits in terms of identity strategy? Where should it go?
Very good question, Ivan. So as you can see, we have represented blockchain IAM in the solution offerings. And largely today, it is more of in a very early stage, I would say, from an identity perspective, while there is a lot of acceptance broadly from a blockchain perspective across different, functional domains. However, from an identity perspective, we see that we see across the globe, whether it is government organizations or financial institutions, I would say are getting ready. They are building the infrastructure and the solutions which will enable the decentralized identity down the line, and customers can bring their own identity and will not be dependent on each organization to store their identity, make it, and create an identity and manage an identity. So in a nutshell, I see that this is a solution which is in the 2 to 5 years time frame. And today, largely the organizations have started to prep for it, but it's in the early stages.
Are you seeing any significant geographic differences in how comfortable companies are with embracing this for identity, embracing blockchain?
So I would say that some governments and across the globe, right, are spending a lot on this to build the infrastructure, and they have a view of next 2 to 5 years. And while some other countries and are behind, but I see this adoption to happen in more of the mature geos, and in the 2 to 5 year term. That's what I would say, Ivan.
So zero trust, everyone's favorite security goal. Zero trust is certainly a popular concept today, but a lot of CISOs are defining and interpreting the term differently. It's difficult to move an industry forward when such a critical term generates so much, let's just say, different interpretations. How are you defining zero trust? Is there a single definition that you think is something that can be accepted globally?
Again, another good question, and I would like to, give my views on this. I have seen I have, heard this term for last a decade, I can say, right? This has been there for almost a decade. So zero trust is not new. However, in last couple of years, I would say there's a lot of focus that, I'm seeing that CISOs have 2 to 3 years where they have built zero trust programs, and now I think and I see that there is huge focus on zero trust. However, the confusion, as you rightly pointed out, still persists. There are organizations who feel that there are some pointed solutions which they can take and achieve zero trust, right? So it's all about maturity and adoption and realizing that zero trust is a concept of trusting none and verifying all on a continuous basis. So it's largely and it is not just in identity space or infrastructure space. It's largely spread across, and identity does provide certain solutions which help organizations achieve zero trust from an identity perspective. Just to conclude, I can add a few solutions that I see in the identity space, again, which are not very new, like adaptive authentication has existed for many, many years, right? That's one form of verifying all, right, rather than just trusting based on what you have and what you bring to the table, right? So basically, adaptive authentication, identity analytics, identity proofing, passwordless, these are various solutions, identity solutions, which are enabling zero trust in different forms.
No, excellent. That is no, that's perfect. Now we're going to be able to jump into the essence of our chat today. So, what are the issues today that are blocking the full realization of enterprise identity ROI? Can you give us a rough sense of what are the key hurdles right now?
So Ivan, let me first cover, the approach that we take and we recommend to our customers, and then I will address your questions in the next slide.
That would be great.
So see, when we, go to our customers, right, like we take a four-pronged approach, to make the IAM transformation and automation, I would say, much simpler and effective, right? So the first thing is, about having the right strategy and creating the right roadmap, right? When I say right strategy, it's not about having strategy in the mind, but creating the strategy based on what is your objective, and simplifying and putting some realistic timelines and an approach to it, and clearly defining a roadmap, right? That roadmap could be short term to long term, right? It could be a year, 2 year to 5 year roadmap. So that's the first important aspect, and that's what we do. We take the strategy first approach, right? So that's step number one. The second is, how we can help customers to accelerate the adoption of the IAM solutions that they have already, purchased, or they have already started the journey with, right? The important aspect is that, how tools or how various different approaches or processes can help organizations to have accelerated adoption of the next gen IAM platform. So that's number two. Number three is, we have, a very unique solution called Identity Management Center. And it's a unique identity orchestration and a service management tool which helps organizations to in different phases, right? It helps right, post the strategy when you start on your journey for integration and implementation. It helps you with, onboarding, accelerated application onboarding, migration toolkit, and certain automations. And then as you enter into your BAU phase, it helps you to have centralized monitoring, reporting, dashboarding, right? So that's number three. And then, number four is primarily around, how we can help customers with automation, right? Specific identity automation, right? We all know that organizations, while they spend multi-million dollars on next gen solutions, both from licensing and services perspective, they are still not able to reap the entire benefit because they are not able to automate. They are not able to automate beyond a point, right? For example, I'm talking about the legacy applications, right? There may not be a use case to actually build the custom integrations, right? And certain data validations when you are doing the disconnected applications, right? Test automation. When you do hundreds and thousands of application onboarding, you will need a mechanism and an automation to do test automation, right? So these are certain focused areas which we take to, help in the identity automation. With that, I would like to move to the next slide and articulate and answer Ivan's question around certain challenges that we see. Now, as you can see, I have highlighted, seven key challenges that organizations typically face, right? And you can see that, how it answers Ivan's question, right? So largely, we have seen organizations where they start on the IAM transformation journey, but they do not have a migration and coexistence strategy. We cannot think that we take a next gen solution and then we can just, because it's not a green field, right? You have a parallel environment which is running, and then you are bringing a new environment, and there has to be a coexistence phase, right? Which is very important from a transformation perspective, where the old environment, ramps down and the new environment takes up from a functionality perspective. And that is where, the strategy of how you will approach this entire program is very important, right? So that's one of the pain areas I have seen, where organizations start but they do not have a solid strategy around migration and coexistence. The other aspect that I have seen is, a lot of these migration processes are manual and time consuming, right? The third aspect is, we see organizations, even though they are on a next gen IAM solution, but they are still spending millions of dollars in provisioning, manually, right? Like, and even if they have automated the request management piece of it, they are still doing the provisioning in a disconnected fashion, right? And that's a problem, right? So that's number three. We also see that, when organizations start on this journey, and large organizations that we work with have thousands of applications, right? Hundreds and thousands of applications. Now, collecting requirements, creating backlogs, right, for the teams to come and do onboarding is a big pain area. Now, how can we automate that, or how can we, create a self-servicing capability, right? So that's is something that we learned over time, and we have tried to solve this problem. The other thing is, you have collected the requirements, you have a process to collect, you have a tool to collect, you have done service, you have brought self-service capability. But what about, creating a factory to onboard these hundreds and thousands of applications? We cannot treat application by application if we have to really address that large scale that we are talking about to achieve the ROI. And that's where the application onboarding factory, both from a process perspective and the tools, come into play. And you will see as we progress that how we help our customers. The sixth point is around, automation. As I highlighted in the previous slide, automation around testing, data validation, and others, right? That's another pain point. And the last is, from a high level perspective, is when you are into the BAU phase, right? Are you able to do some proactive monitoring for your entire identity landscape? I'm not talking about just IGA. I'm talking about IGA, access, spam, and all the identity solutions centrally. Are you able to monitor the functional aspects centrally to from a proactive perspective? Are you able to create audit reports and help the auditors, right? And are you able to create custom reports from all these different IGA, access, and PAM in one central solution, right? So these are some of the pain points. And as I said, it depends on which phase of the program you are. These issues pop up, and organizations may be facing few of these at different point in time.
Let me just drill into a couple of things you touched on. You touched on legacy, everyone's favorite nightmare. So we're talking about legacy apps and legacy data, especially orphaned apps left over about from an acquisition or a merger, apps that have been forgotten and are therefore not being maintained. How do you overcome that legacy issue?
Correct. So, there are various aspects. Some of this is articulated in this, the problem statements, which I have already gone through. And the legacy aspect is, articulated here in the terms of why somebody is doing manual provisioning or why an organization is still doing application based authentication and authorization, right? It's all about because the legacy applications, they're not able to integrate with the central IGA or the central access management solution, right? And hence, and this is a good segue to our next slide where, I will talk more about, how, you know, these challenges are impediment to achieving like impediment for the organizations in achieving their objectives, the identity objectives that they have put in place while defining the strategy. So Bikram, if you can go to the next slide, please. So this is what I'm talking about, right? On the left side you can see, we an organization started on next gen IAM, right? They said, yes, I cannot. There are a lot of impediments. I'm not able to run with the pace of the organization and support digital transformation or cloud adoption, right? So they went ahead and they procured and created a program around IAM modernization, right? And they started the journey. And then they hit few of the challenges that I articulated in the previous slide. And then, those challenges, if you do not address it in the right way, that creates this gap and which does not allow you to achieve what you actually projected, right, during your strategy, and you created that and you published it to your board and you are being tracked, right? And that's what we are trying to address here. We are not talking about a competing solution or a product, right? We are talking about that you are on your IAM transformation journey, but you are not able to achieve your vision, right? And that is where we come in and we help you achieve that. And those are some of the pointers that we have mentioned here, right? So I will quickly reiterate and summarize before we jump into this unique proposition that we are talking about. So the first is, the strategy first approach. We talked about that we have to strategize, we have to create a roadmap before we start on this journey, because identity programs are one of the complex programs in an IT industry, right? So that's the number one. The second is, if I have to migrate from a legacy to a modern platform, what sort of automation I can bring in, right? What sort of toolkits I can bring in so I can get rid of some of the heavy lifting job through automation, right? So that is what we are calling create some migration toolkit, right? Adopt some migration toolkit. And as we progress, you will see that we have certain migration toolkits which will help you. The third is, talking about the factory onboarding process, the factory onboarding toolkit, and the self-service application onboarding capability, which also reduces the dependency on the skilled resources, whether it is, SailPoint or Savient, right? We know the skill challenges in the market, right? So to reduce it to a level what we do is like we have certain automation where there's self-service capability, and you will see in probably 10 minutes that how we enable the business owners and the BAs, right? Application owners to actually onboard the applications, right? So that's the third one. Then, the centralized audit reporting and monitoring capability is a very important aspect across identity landscape. And then the last is, around automation. So this is a quick summary of the gap we are talking about and how we should address so that you can achieve your ROI, right? So with that, I would like to now get deeper into the solution that we have been talking about, Identity Management Center. This is one of the unique offerings of Wipro, and we have this for few years now, and we are launching the version 2.0, as part of this, during the Gartner event. And I would like to invite now my colleague Bikram, who heads the Center of Excellence function within my practice, to talk about the solution, why we created it. I have articulated a lot of the problem statements, but I would like him to quickly summarize the areas that this tool addresses, and help us with the functionality and help us with the demo so that you can get a better view of the offering that we are bringing to the table. Bikram, over to you.
All right. So in this slide, I'm going to talk about the Identity Management Center. So over 2 decades, Wipro has been managing customers globally in their IAM transformation journey. This has given us the advantage to understand closely the different challenges which customers face during their IAM transformation. And based on that knowledge, we at the Center of Excellence developed Identity Management Center, in short IMC, to address 4 key challenging areas. So in short, IMC is an identity orchestration and service management platform that provides you with a single pane of glass view of your entire IAM landscape. It can integrate with your ITSM tool for automation and change management. It can also create a centralized reporting with the help of advanced APIs. And it also has the custom monitoring tools which will help you to monitor your entire IAM portfolio. And this platform is mainly targeted for IAM administrators, business analysts, application owners, and operators to help them on their IAM transformation journey. So what are the 4 major areas it addresses as of today? So it helps in the migration process by introducing a migration toolkit, which will automate end-to-end application migration from a legacy IGA platform to the next-gen IGA platform, thereby reducing the complexity, personal dependency, and overall migration timeline. Next, the very important part is the application onboarding. So how quickly can we onboard large set of application in a customer environment? So with the help of its application onboarding module, it can fill up the application details in an online form-based manner. And it also helps the application owners to onboard applications on their own by introducing a factory-based application onboarding approach. And this sets the stage for centralized monitoring of the applications, adhering to the compliance and the administration. Then it also introduces automated testing and user access management for disconnected applications. And then lastly, for the centralized compliance visibility for the CXO, it provides a single pane of glass view for the entire IAM landscape. Next, I'll move on to the different modules within the IMC. So in total, IMC has 8 modules, and I will explain in detail about what these different modules do within the IMC. It's more like a plug and play module. Depending on the customer need, customer can purchase any of these modules for their IAM transformation journey. So to start with, first one is the migration toolkit. The advantage of the migration toolkit is it automates your manual application migration process from legacy to the next gen. It reduces your manual effort to the range of 40 to 50%. It also reduces your intervention of SMEs, and it also helps to automate the IAM transformation data from your legacy to the next gen. The second module is called the app-on. So as I mentioned previously, this module helps the application owners to onboard applications on their own, thereby introducing the factory model. It has a self-service online form-based approach where application owners or administrators or business analysts can log in and start onboarding applications. So this reduces your paper-based or email-based process of application onboarding and reduces the operation turnaround time. It has different connectors which helps to integrate with your next-gen IAM platform. The third module is the data VX. So we have seen from our experience that application data validation plays a major role before these applications can be onboarded to the next-gen IAM platform. The advantage of a data validation tool is if you can validate the data before onboarding the applications, then it reduces your certification cycle, it reduces your risk in the application request as well. Thereby, it will reduce your operation turnaround time, and it will help you to reduce the junk data that is already present in the applications. The fourth module is the unified dashboard. So we have introduced Tableau reporting tool here in this module. It provides a unique feature of integrating your entire IAM landscape and providing various custom reports. As I said, it will provide a single pane of glass view for your entire IAM landscape. It can create your audit reports. It can create your operation reports, and anybody who logs in into the IMC will be able to monitor these reports and validate these reports as well. And this can be used by the auditors and even the CXOs. The fifth one is the TestX module. So within TestX, we have introduced automation around functional and regression testing. So overall, it will mimic the manual testing which a user does for any set of use cases, and it will reduce the operation turnaround time to a range of, I would say, 50 to 70% if we have the proper set of use cases already defined and the test cases, defined for it. And this is a very common and unique feature that we are offering as part of the IMC. The next one is the monitoring. Again, this monitoring is for your entire IAM landscape. We have developed custom scripts which will go and do monitoring beyond your normal monitoring features which an IG or an SSO platform provides. It will go and do a proactive monitoring apart from the reactive monitoring, thereby reducing the chances of any system downtime or system failures. So this will also help you to identify the threats which are already present in the system and take proactive actions against them. The seventh one is known as Umatic. So we are introducing here a unique homegrown RPA solution which helps users and administrators to automate the manual provisioning of user access into disconnected systems. So we have seen that many organizations have legacy applications where you don't have, vendor support, and also you don't have the need to develop a custom connector for it, because either this application has a minimum set of provisioning requests which are coming in every month or every quarter, or this application might be sunset after a certain period of time. So for these kind of scenarios, we have introduced Umatic, which will automatically read your provisioning request for you from your ticketing tools, either Remedy or any other tool, and it will automate the provisioning of user access into the disconnected application. So we have a homegrown process to do that. And also we have industry standard RPA tools like UiPath, Blue Prism, or Automation Anywhere to do that as well. And lastly, we have the bot management. So this is targeted for customers who has a lot of bots already defined in their environment, and they want to monitor the health of the bots and ensure that if any of these bots are failing, what is the reason behind it, and how can they take proactive action. So this is more towards the efficient bot management in a customer environment and how they can do reporting against the bot management as well. In the next slide, I'm going to talk about the high-level architecture of IMC. IMC follows an industry standard architecture of Java and Spring Boot based application layers. So it is structured around 3 different layers. On the top layer, you have the data visualization layer, which is powered by Tableau, where you have all the reportings and monitoring part of it. On the middle layer, you have the core engine where you have all the different modules like the app-on, the data VX, the migration toolkit, etc. And the bottom layer is mainly the authentication and the database layer, which stores all the data which are created or modified within the IMC. And towards the right, it integrates with the different end systems. So it can integrate with the identity management system. It can integrate with the access management system for application onboarding, application migration. It can also integrate with privileged access management applications and advanced ITSM tools for automation of change management. So it has a bunch of APIs and web service calls, which it triggers internally, and it does the entire functionality end to end. Also, it has different scripts for console-based application provisioning and automation towards disconnected applications and thick clients as well. Next, we are going to run through different use cases and demonstration of these use cases in the form of video snippets, which are pre-recorded. So I'm going to cover 4 major aspects in this demo today. So firstly, we are going to cover the migration from legacy to the next gen platform. So under that, I'm going to cover migration from a legacy platform to SailPoint IGA platform. Then I'm going to cover migration from legacy to the Savient IGA platform. Next, we are going to focus on the app-on module, which is a very critical module. And we are going to demonstrate how we can onboard application into the SailPoint IGA platform, followed by application onboarding into the Savient IGA platform. So first, we are going to run through the migration toolkit, where we are going to showcase how applications are migrated from OIM to SailPoint. So we are considering OIM as a legacy application now, because most of the customers these days are moving from OIM to the next gen IGA platform like SailPoint or Savient. So we are going to demonstrate how this is being done through IMC. So this is the login screen of IMC. This can be integrated with your corporate Active Directory, and given proper roles, anybody can log in. So here we are going to click on the application management within SailPoint, And once we log in there, we have two buttons. One is import and create new applications. So import helps in the bulk application migration of applications from one platform to the other. So here you can see we are clicking on AD type applications, which will pull all the different AD applications from OIM within IMC. And this is a simple application that you can see on the screen where the data has been pulled from OIM. And as we move on, we are going to showcase how this data will get stored within IMC and then migrated into SailPoint. So this is a pre-filled data of an application. So we are going to search the particular application. So this is a sample application that you see on the screen. And once we are editing the data, it has different pages. So first was a basic page with the basic information. Next, we'll give you the option to put additional information. As you move on to the third one, you have the connector information. So all these needs to be filled up by the application owners or the admins. These are some additional information page that you need to fill up for the application onboarding. You can update your ITSM integration as well. So here we are not integrating, we are just clicking on the onboard button. And with the single click of a button, this application which was within IMC will be migrated to SailPoint. So internally, IMC is calling the APIs which are exposed by SailPoint, and it will utilize those APIs to create this application with the single click of a button. So the application got created, we saw the message, we will log in into SailPoint and validate how that application looks like. So this is within SailPoint. We will go and try to search for that particular application which just got onboarded through IMC, and we will check the status of that application. So here we can see the application got created. These are all the configurations that has been migrated from OIM to SailPoint with the as-is data. So all the data transformation will be taken care automatically by IMC, and all your schemas related to users and applications will be migrated through IMC from the legacy to the next gen platform. Here it is SailPoint. With that, I come to the closure of the migration toolkit from OIM to SailPoint. I will quickly move on to the migration toolkit that we have developed for Savient as well. So again, we are following the same process. So we have Savient on the screen. So we will just go and validate whether the application that we are trying to migrate is already present within the Savient product or not, just as a reconfirmation. And then we are going to go back to the IMC tool and start migrating those applications into that. So now we are trying to search the type of application that we are going to migrate from OIM to Savient. So we have searched with the disconnected type of applications. So you can see all this application has been pulled from OIM through the API calls. There is no manual intervention required. So we are going to consider this application for migration. So as a first step, we are going to save this application in the IMC so that this application can be used for pushing it to the Savient platform. So the features are pretty much the same, is just that the platform is different. We are going to search for the particular application again. And this process can be done by anybody, as I said, because this is a self-service interface where the application owners will go and click on their application, modify their data if that is required, or they can migrate with the existing data that has been pulled from OIM, validate that, go through the different self-service screens that has been defined within IMC, as you can see on the screen, and then move on to the final page of it. So these are all the different schemas that normally an application has. So we are going to the final stage, where we are going to check whether we want an ITSM change request or not. The final page says onboard the application. Again, this is a single click automation onboarding that is taking place in the backend. And once it is done, we will get a notification which will confirm that the application is onboarded. So if I want to search with a particular application and see what the status is, we can see that the status has been changed to onboarded. So everything is tracked from end to end. What are the different stages of the application and how that is getting migrated into Savient. The most important aspect of this migration tool is people with minimum knowledge of any of this next gen IAM platform can do the application onboarding on their own. So this will reduce your dependency on SMEs. This will reduce your dependencies on the migration timelines. Here you can see the application has been migrated. These are all the different parameters of that application. And you can see the entitlements and the accounts has been populated as well. So everything has been automated, including the population of entitlements and account data. So these are all the different entitlements which are associated with this application. So with that, I come to the closure of the migration toolkit from OIM to Savient. Now I'm going to focus on the next part, which is the app-on module, which helps the application owners to onboard applications on their own through the factory onboarding approach. So this is the home screen, and you can see whichever application will get integrated with IMC, the logos are going to come up. And since we are dealing with the SailPoint application migration here, we will click on the menu called App-on, which will help us with the application onboarding screens. So this is a sample application which needs to be onboarded. So anybody with the basic knowledge of the application will come and run through the different pages of that application that needs to be filled up. And this is similar to the migration toolkit. You just need to run through these different pages, fill up the data and ensure everything is fine before you onboard this application. So we also have an option to delegate the application data to somebody who can validate before you onboard it. So those features are also available as a double check. And as you can see, again, with the single click of a button, the application onboarding process gets triggered and the application gets created or onboarded into SailPoint. So as we were mentioning, the important part is it provides you a self-service interface to onboard application. It also helps you to track the application onboarding run rate, right? So how many applications you have onboarded in a month, in a quarter, or maybe 6 months can be tracked and monitored as well. So this is very helpful for the program managers who are running this application onboarding program to keep a track of their entire IAM transformation journey. So this is again the same. The application got onboarded through the IMC platform and you can validate the data, which is very simple for anyone to log in and test it out. So all the attributes data has been populated as well through this app-on module. With this, I come to the closure of app-on via IMC into SailPoint platform. I'll take a couple of minutes more to showcase how this can be done through Savient as well. The process is exactly the same, only the end system is different. So you can see people with defined role will be able to log in. They need to go into the Savient icon and click on the application onboarding, and they have to follow similar process to do the application onboarding into Savient platform as well. And these interfaces are customized based on any customer requirement. So if you want to add additional attributes, if you want to have additional fields for it, this can be managed easily and customized very quickly on the UI front. So again, you can see the application got created within a minute, and all the data related to the application entitlements and accounts has been created as well. So all in all, it provides a very handy platform for anybody to start on their migration journey from legacy to the next gen IAM platform, as well as help you with a factory onboarding approach to onboard applications in a rapid pace into your next gen IAM platform. With that, I come to the closure of the demo sessions for this webinar. Next, we have a very interesting use case on one of our customers for which we have implemented this. I would like to give this opportunity to Ashish to talk about the case study.
Thank you, Vikram, and thanks for the pretty detailed demo. I think I'm very sure that everybody got a good view of the couple of modules that we ran today, and in the shortage of time, we just covered two modules, right? The migration toolkit and application onboarding, and behind the scene data VX, which is the data validation also. I just wanted to mention this, that we will have couple of more follow-up webinars to go through the remaining 6 modules. So please look forward to the notification and see that and you can join to see how those modules help in the IAM transformation journey. Now, I wanted to, give you a glimpse. Like today, we have around 6 customers on this platform, and just to be sure that you understand this, so this is like a very, a very adaptable and platform which can be either hosted on-prem or on your cloud, right? It's not a central platform that is hosted on Wipro, because we understand identity space, we understand the considerations that organizations go through. So this will be largely deployed on the customer on-prem or the cloud, as I said. Now, before we wind up today, I just wanted to give you a glimpse on, a case study, right? Give you a view on how we help this customer. And this is for one of the large insurance provider in UK. We did the consulting for them. So primarily the strategy first. And then we started on the transformation journey. And this was not a greenfield. This was a migration from RSA Awexa to SailPoint. And the first challenge that we had on our hand was that they wanted to migrate their existing 100 applications quickly to SailPoint so that they can start the access governance piece of it, right? And that's where they wanted to do it very quick, and the timeline was 4 months because of certain compliance reasons. And I can say very proudly that we introduced the solution to them, and we help them to migrate these 100 plus applications onto the SailPoint platform in less than 4 months, right? So around 3.5 months is something that we took to migrate from a legacy platform to SailPoint. And it it, as you can see, and we have talked about it in the previous slides, it gave the customer at least a 30 to 40% saving, right, from because of the required automation and the factory process that we set up. And this program is still continuing. For last 3 years we have been on the transformation journey, and you can understand that these programs run, and we are now onboarding hundreds of applications. But this was the first phase, and customer clearly saw benefits out of this. And now, having said this, I would like to invite you all to our booth in the Gartner Arena. We are at booth number 517. Please come and visit us to understand and learn more about Identity Management Center. We will be very happy to walk you through, do demo, and then get into a detailed discussion as per your needs. So you have our contact details here, and you can go to wipro.com/cybersecurity to learn more about our cybersecurity service offerings, and reach out to either me or Bikram for any queries on IMC, and how and if you want to take it forward to understand it more in depth. So thank you all. Thanks for your time. And it was pleasure to have you all here in this webinar. Looking forward to the follow-up webinars, a couple of them that we will have post this. Thank you again.